Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Film Gamera podcast episode. Or is it Gamera Film Podcast? I mean, and as my previous episode, I did an episode of Gamera versus Jiger, aka Gamera versus Monster X, with my friend Neil. And so in this episode, we'll be talking about the 1971 Gamera film, Gamera versus ZIGRA, one of the weakest and poorly rated Gamera films ever made. Uh, and we have a special guest here for tonight, and he's been in my previous episodes. And please welcome back to my good friend Jedi Grand Valley.
Hey, hi.
How's it going, Walter? Long time no see.
I know it's been a minute, but hey, I'm glad to be back. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, I can be honest. I can't remember the last time I had you on my show. What was
think
it?
we talked about one of the Jurassic Park or was it Jurassic World films?
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, that's what we
Kingdom.
did. That was months ago.
Yes.
And, yeah, I'm glad to have you for this episode and to talk about Gamera versus ZIGRA. And I did watch the film last night, and I had to surprise you. I mean, there's really not much to talk about of this film, but you say you have so much.
I do. Yes. I mean, it's not going to be much, but I mean, it's enough to say, kind of fill in, and talk about and realize that there's like I say, this film is because, like I say, this is the first Gamera film that I was introduced. And knowing that this was a film that I never known that a giant turtle existed in the kaiju world. So, but I mean, I have a few nicks and knacks about it, and everything. But it's pretty much there, and I can understand why it wouldn't be that much to talk about because I mean,
and
it was like I said, next to last of the kaiju, Gamera films at this time.
Yep, and surprisingly, since I said there's so much to talk about, I'm guessing this episode is probably going to be a short one.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. I mean, some things will be short because it's only so much you can put into it, and then there's going to be some that'll be, as you mentioned before, that'll be like almost 3 hours. So it's like, well, there's so much there to so much robust information, But some things like this, not that much. So it's not big.
It's because the film, like I said earlier, that this film is one of the not one of the best Gamera films.
It's not, and I agree with that. Yes.
Yep. At least I have the gang right here.
Yes, you got Gamera and ZIGRA right there, co-hosting. No, that's cool, but no, it's that's quite understandable because it's kind of funny, with me, my first Godzilla film was Megalon, but as we know, it's not one of the best of the Godzilla films, but it's still that brought me into introduction to Godzilla, So with this film, not the best of the series. I know there's the ones before way better, but this one here, it's not the best, but it was in my introduction to Gamera.
So, and so before we talked about the film, let's talk about how we first discovered it. Since you shared a little bit of it, I mean, I'll let you go first. Let you finish how you first discovered it.
Well, believe it or not, it was by accident. Actually, it was back during the days when things like USA Network was on, and well, it's still kind of on, but it's a total alternate version of itself. And it they just showed, and you know how they usually randomly just show old campy films of the day. This is like late 80s, I was a teenager, and I just happened to catch the like just tail end beginning of it, and I was just like, well, what is this? This looks silly, but I'm like, I'm taking interest to it, I mean, I'll look at it, I mean, it's kill some time, and it was on a Saturday, and sometimes films like this shown on a weekend is such a joy because you're out of school, you're not really doing anything. And for me, it was, and I love movies anyway, so it was a joy just to watch it. So I started watching it, and the thing that particularly got me the most about this film is how incredibly silly it really is. I mean,
Oh, oh
yeah,
yeah, like especially that one scene, which we'll get to it later.
yeah. I mean, I mean, literally watch the other films. They're more robust in terms of some style or whatever. And this is, like I say, this is way before I would see those films, but this one was like the characters in here, and I'm not even talking about the adult characters. The children characters are some of the most, I'm just like beyond annoying. I mean, they say, kids are supposed to be the draw to any film that's, kind of kid friendly and everything. Okay. The characters of the kids, Helen and Kenny, I think it's Kenny. I mean, it might be something
Yeah,
else.
Kenny, they said it in the English dub.
Okay. They are hilariously just annoying. I mean, Kenny, and, look, for Helen, she's just being, kind of, tagged along in terms of, being, influenced and everything. Him particularly, he is like that one scene when he's brushing his teeth. He comes out there, he doesn't properly rinse himself off. I'm like, what is this? Like what are you, dude? I mean, I know you're a child, but it's like maybe because I was a teenager when I saw this. Maybe if I saw it as a kid, it'd be a different story. But the fact of the matter is, it seemed like I would have got the gist that okay, it's a child. A child is going to do randomly stupid things. But for some reason, he really was getting on my last nerve. And as the progression of their time on screen, it got progressively worse in terms of how much I couldn't stand these two. I mean, it's just amazing how these individuals are like, how are they not dead yet? Seem like they should be dead now, but I mean, it's like I say, it was back then, and I'm going off too long and talk about when I saw it, but saw it back then, and somehow it just stuck with me, and eventually I would start seeing other Gamera films in the mic, and like I say, it let me know like, okay, this is a bigger franchise than I thought it was, because when I found out there was more movies available that show Gamera, I was like, okay, maybe I gotta check it out. You know what I mean? It's not just Godzilla roaming the film air when it comes to doing stuff. Gamera is taking over, not so much taking over the reins, but doing his thing too. So that's pretty much when I first was introduced to it. I was, like I say, I was a young man, and I was still in high school at the time. So yeah, I mean, just something that caught my eye and stuck with me since then.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great history story. You just told Walter, and and yeah, like you said, the kids are extremely a little annoying and all that, and so I would like to talk about my history of how I first discovered this, and uh, believe me, like you're gonna surprise how I first discovered this. I mean, I think a few years after I first discovered Gamera with my uncle and my cousins, and like a few years like after, like I first discovered YouTube back in 2008.
All right.
That's where I first discovered YouTube. That's how I really got into it, because there's so many videos, and especially when I want to look at some videos for some Godzilla videos, and especially Gamera, and and I found like some videos and maybe some trailers of Gamera versus ZIGRA. Like I didn't even know that film even exists. I tried to look for it for on DVD, but there's no sign of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I discovered this film before like Arrow or Shout Factory released them on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
I think this is where, like I say, this is a time where they still saw these properties as not so viable in terms of what they were, because they feel like, oh, these are monster films. These are guys in suits and everything. We're not gonna care for this. It's that. But when you see a property that grows and people who are fans of this stuff, we love kaiju things, that's when they say, oh, well, we could probably get some money out of this. So eventually, like Arrow or Mill Creek would say, like, okay, it's time to take in the mission of saying, let's get these things on, you know, on some kind of a platform. And eventually, something like this, you know, get it on stuff like this. This is where you realize, like, this is what you want to do. You want to put it on something that people can collect and say, oh, that's what they're doing. I mean, and that's the
Yeah.
same with Godzilla films. It's like it wasn't viable either. I mean, it was a popular kaiju, a popular monster, but there wasn't really much of it on even a video cassette, VHS, it wasn't on there, so you could only catch it on television at the time.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I just saw some videos on YouTube back then. I mean, I saw some clip videos of Gamera versus ZIGRA, but I did get the full film. I think it was 2010 or 11. I mean, I think it was 2010
Mhm.
that I got the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of it. Yeah, I watched that one before I watched the original Japanese cut.
And I
I mean,
think and I think I had to admit
and
that one I saw 2 years later after when I first initially saw this film. Yes.
yeah, yeah, I'm like a huge Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan guy. I only watched the GAMERA episodes of that
Oh,
they did, and I did watch that version of ZIGRA, their last one, and I did watch the original Japanese cut years later after I got the Mill Creek, 4 movie set collection.
right.
Yeah, I watched it in the original Japanese cut, and too bad those Mill Creek doesn't have the English dub of it. But thanks to Arrow Video uh, that they had the English dub of it by Sandy Frank did.
I and I was kind of wondering if you was going to say Sandy Franks. Sandy Franks. I was like, dude, it's like, it's not. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and I did watch the dub version. I audio for it,
Mhm.
and let me see. I know this character sounds a little goofy, and especially Zigra voice in the dub,
Yes.
and both versions, like the Japanese and English dub, and Zigra's voice almost sounds like an old classic 40s Disney villain voice.
Yes, and I think that was the whole purpose of that, to make it sound like this is the antagonist. We want to show we want you to know that this is the villain. So it's like, oh, we're gonna do the most, trope thing and making it sound like, old Hollywood kind of type of sound. It's like, yeah, but yeah, that's exactly what they were going for, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, and back then, before I discovered the movie and Mystery Science Theater, I mean, I did bought this guy on eBay like a
Mm,
few years back. I also bought this guy along with Baragon, the Bandai toy.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so lucky I got this guy, and along with the, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And I was kind of curious, I mean, did you ever get any of those kinds like at the G Fest sometimes? Yeah.
Uh, yeah. No, this one I got on eBay like
Okay.
years ago when I
Okay.
was during my teenage years, and I think this one I bought online. That and I actually did an unboxing video of this guy. Eh,
I'm trying to remember how long ago was that? I'm thinking that was not that long
I
ago.
think it was like uh, a a year ago. I think.
trying to remember because I know. See, I know you make so many videos. I tend to remember. It's like when exactly would that happen? So I was like, yeah, trying to remember exactly.
Yeah, I think this was from last year.
Okay, I think yeah. Okay,
Eh,
that's pretty cool though.
So yeah, and well, so we already talked about how we first discovered this, and let's talk about the history of the film. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but yeah, after they did Godzilla versus Jiger, they were afraid that Jiger may not be a success. But later, when they turns out Gamera versus Jiger was a success, and they decided to make them another Gamera film in 1971. Which before I get to that, I mean, I was so surprised that this film was released in the same year as Godzilla versus Hedorah was released.
Yes, I think I don't know if it was close to the same time of the year or something like that,
I
but
mean, they're both released in the same month, but Gamma versus ZIGRA was released a week before Godzilla versus Hedorah.
wow, isn't that interesting? We got two kaiju films and they're two different brands, two different studios. That's
And
elaborate.
in ZIGRA, I know they brought this up in the film. They did bring it up about pollution in the waters, and
Yes.
yeah, it's the same way in the same storyline of Godzilla versus Hedorah.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's now I had to put this out here. It's funny how certain studio, and especially when it's different studios, also they have the same kind of concept of what they feel that is going to be rejected in terms of storyline and what they're being. Because, like I say, both Hedorah and ZIGRA deal with pollution in that sense, and how humans will corrupt, the earth that they're standing on, living on. And it's kind of weird that both of these studios would bring out, and they're both kaiju films, talking about the same concept. It's almost like how it's done here in America. I mean, back in '97, when they did that with two volcano films, Dante's Peak and Volcano, and then the year after, they had two films that was dealing with large objects kind of collision with Earth. With what was the film? Armageddon and trying to remember what was the other one. Deep Impact. That was It's funny how film studios do these things. They have the same kind of concept, but one is going to be, and I'm not going to say either one of these were not. I mean, Hedorah or Jigra were not viable. Although I think Jigra might have not done as well as Hedorah. But it's funny how studios literally will put out the same kind of mesh as the other studio, and I guess they leave it to the audience.
Even though, I'm sorry, like even though that Daiei it stole some similar plots from Toho's Godzilla films, like for the original, like for the first Gamera from 1965, they it's almost like they made a giant turtle. They did a ripoff of Godzilla from 1954, and I know in Gamera versus Barugan, it's like almost take that from Godzilla Rise Again, and Barugan was like they took the name from Baragon from Frankenstein Conquers the World, and
but isn't that interesting though, knowing that especially when you said the original the first Gamera film, it's filmed in black and white, just like the 54 version of Godzilla was filmed in black and white. And I'm wondering, was that by accident or just that it's like, well, we're just gonna do it like this and black and white. They won't make no difference. The only difference with that one is that was done in a 2.35 ratio, whereas original Godzilla was filmed in just like standard frame rate, in terms of how it's filmed. So it's like they were trying to copy that, but I kind of think they were trying to not so much steal, but kind of say
Yeah, they're not
was.
like trying to seal this like
Yeah.
they're and also they also did the same thing for Gamma versus Space Monster Virus
Hmm.
for Destroy All Monsters, but it's just the title. Like for the American title for is Destroy All Planets, which
Right.
both films were released in the same year too.
See, very interesting. But I think the reason why, I mean, and I know the reason why, but I mean, the reason why that did the way it did, because the simple fact is, like, it's like saying planets, it's like, well, we mean, we're gonna have, I mean, whereas Destroy All Monsters had a melee of different monsters, where this one was doing, I think, was like flashbacks to previous films. It's like, well, that's not way you want to kind of run your film. You want to,
Yeah,
I don't mind
I
your
was
black.
gonna get to that. I mean,
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
this is. I know the film. This film actually brought back the alien life. They did brought back the alien villains like in the previous Gamera films like
Mhm.
Virus and Euron. Yeah, they did bring some alien life and surprised they did not did a single flashback with stock footage
Mhm.
this time, just like they did in the one of the previous ones.
Yeah, I mean
Dang,
that's
that's
kind of
good.
weird. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's kind of weird knowing that you have that, and it's like, okay, don't you can't you relay on your new foundation with just what you have here instead of just doing a lot of flash with the crate fuller, filler and everything. It's like y'all don't have enough story here, and this is kind of weird because Gamera is like the first, literally first kaiju to use stock footage in their own films before Godzilla actually was doing it. I mean, I think was it
Yeah.
Gigan and Megalon were the forerunners of stock footage, just showing a lot of
Yeah,
stock footage.
the reason why is because of the money budget.
Right.
It, oh, we have a guest in the comment. Hi, Madison.
Hey, how you doing?
Eh,
Yes.
mm. So, so yeah, I'm just glad they didn't do any stock footage for this one because we have enough of flashbacks. We already know much about Gamera from his past and
Mhm.
all that, and yeah, I want to talk about the human villains and the main villain in there, ZIGRA.
Yes.
I mean, well, first of all, before that, I know this film is not a good Gamera film. I mean, what really weird is like for the opening of this, after the title card pops up. I mean, I know they play Gamera's theme song, but it kind of sounds a little blurry, and the sound of it just sounds blurry, and then it's like you know, almost
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I'm thinking too. I mean, because as you mentioned before, money was an issue. And this film came out in '71, around the time when not just Daiei, but Toho and some other various companies there were, their revenue in terms of money was kind of drying up, and the money was kind of getting more limited. I mean, more shorter than what it was before, because it was way more money back in the early '60s, and just at the tail end of the late '60s of that time. But once '70s came into play, everything had to be like diminished. It had to be like shrunken down. It's like you got to do it on this particular amount. You gotta have to make it stretch. So it actually kind of makes sense that they would do it that way. I mean, it's sad that, and it's kind of funny because you can do a lot of films on a small budget if you have that creativity to bring something to light. I mean, I will give ZIGRA this. They were able to create something where they didn't have stock footage. They created a new monster, and they were able to kind of broaden horizon in terms of how they were going to stretch out the amount of what they did in this particular film. But at the same time, that could be kind of damaging because Daiei was pretty much in almost a bankruptcy state. You know, they were almost. I think that's almost.
Yeah.
I think it's about broke at this point. You know.
Yeah, and so let's get back to the villains, and let's talk about that space girl villain who was in it. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I feel like she's like the weakest villain in this film. I mean, yes, I mean, her master is ZIGRA. I mean,
True.
yeah, and then she kidnaps, she teleports the children and the two dads and then to her spaceship, and then she did brought up the talks about pollution, and then wants to, and she just tells them their secrets, and then when they escape, that Zigra gives her orders to kill them because they know all their secrets.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, why then? Why did she like told them? I mean,
that's that's always been the biggest of that's another trope right there with villains. It's like you kidnap someone, but tell them. And here, and you know what? Now you bring that up. What was the point of it kidnapping them in the first place? Why it kidnapping them? I don't get that.
Yeah, and let's not forget that she was chasing those two kids like in Scooby-Doo style. I mean, spaceship first, and then at the SeaWorld park.
Yeah, I mean, in high heels, it was like, why? What damage could these kids really do? I mean, yeah, they know all these things, but they're kids. I mean, not a lot of people are gonna take the hint with what. And then it's like, you already made your presence known. I mean, what more damage could they do to you that you already told the whole world that you own the presence of in command, in the side command of ZIGRA? I mean, I don't get it. Things like that do not gel well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and I also wanted to bring up about she can actually knock people's out with her like snapping like.
But she has to look. She has to look at it first.
It's almost like she casts a spell and then like put them to sleep like.
I had to bring this up when you mentioned Mystery Science Theater 3000. That moment where she Tom turns around and says that's like, she's crazy. I'm telling you, she's crazy. And she looks around and her eyes are like, and you hear Tom Server say, "The look of love." This is funny. She has to look at them, and when they look at her eyes, it's like, I got you. It's like, that's just like that.
Yeah, I think I created like a funny pun for this. What if a guy wants to say, "Hey, my name is."
Right. Yeah,
that would be more hilarious.
That would be hilarious. I would love that, because it's like the woman's pretty much saying, it's like, oh, this guy's like, there you go.
Like, imagine if you really have that snap power thing, like when you listen to like a friend's long story and you would get bored with it. It's like a really long one to say. So anyway, but he just said no way. But and the guy's like, imagine he'd done that. It's like, and yeah. Anyway, but I said,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Imagine that. But I would love that. That would be brilliant, because it's like, oh, I ain't gotta hear this no more. It's like, but he's out, so I'm gone. I love that. That's pretty good.
Oh, I mean, I just noticed for that shot when the lady does this, like if you look carefully, I don't know. I think it's the spaceship scene. I mean, if you look carefully in her arms, I think there was like a wire, like
yes.
of her.
No, that.
I
Honestly,
wonder it's for the sound effects, but I'm not sure.
I'm not really sure about that either, because I was always saying like, that seems kind of out of place for that, unless it's just part of the costume itself, the suit that she's wearing. But I don't know. That's a good question. You know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I gotta say that costume that she was wearing, that it looks like that it was taken out of from Gamera versus Giron.
Probably, yeah.
Except they switched the color from orange to green.
Mhm. You know what, and that's, I think you have a good point about that, because see, that's the thing about these studios that were making these films. They have to take what they've done before, use those resources, and rejig them some kind of way to look different for future films. So I think, you know what, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's right. I mean, they probably did. Yeah, they took that old costume from that film and recolorized it for this. That's actually pretty good. I didn't notice that. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and when she goes up in the surface trying to find the kids,
Mm-hmm.
she knows she's in her spacesuit. I mean, this is like taken out of from this is like a Terminator reference, and then she can't be seen in the spaces, so she went to steal some clothes, and she saw some 3 women in bikinis, and she
Yeah.
kind of passed them out, and then she kind of steals them, and now she just walks around in SeaWorld and in public and in a bikini in public.
Yes. I mean, which would I mean, okay, this is again, as you mentioned before, she's not one of the best of villains here. It's like, do you think do you think your outfit of the space uniform would be more of a distraction than you being in a bikini? I mean, it's like you're showing a lot more of yourself. I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
that one moment where she's at SeaWorld and we see these soldiers, pass her by, and they're in formation, but it's like,
Yeah, I can say that one of them just looks at her. It's like, yeah. I wish they add this to the dub. One of them to be like, "Woo, woo."
right? I mean, that would be hilarious if they had done that. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and you know how America,
kind of like cartoon style. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I
take
gotta
the
say,
liberty.
this film has some few cartoony moments in this, and
Oh yes, yes. They
yeah,
did.
but she did steal some regular clothes from that other lady, and she's
Yes, which I think is more appropriate because it's not so distracting. Yes, she was wearing a short skirt, but it's part of the uniform at the SeaWorld area, So it's like, at least she has something that won't distract a lot of people. So that's why get something that's going to distract in the first place, and you're coming up on a place where it's like, you're in a bikini, you're kind of like giving away yourself right there and there. So it's like, you want to stop and find some other clothes. So fortunately, she does find some other clothes that is more.
and then she just chases the children around in a cartoony Hanna-Barbera style. And
Very, yes. I mean, that's and the funny thing is, like, you. Oh my goodness, the moment when she sneaks up on them in their apartment, it's like, okay, she could have got the drop on, but what happened? She knocks something over, and it's like, let's get out of here, Helen. It's like, oh my, come on, really? I mean, you
yeah,
should be more stealthy than that.
and they and she was actually under mind control
Mm-hmm.
by ZIGRA, and the only way that breaks out the mind control is by making sounds on the walkie-talkie. I don't remember how they explained this in the film, but I just watched the film last night, but I don't remember how they explain.
The way they put it, it's some kind of like brain receive, because they mentioned something about dolphins, how they have their own sense of sonar, and one of the guys who works at SeaWorld, he says that this one particular dolphin is blind, but still
Yeah.
has the ability to see with the sonar. So they feel like it, in layman's terms, if you can't say it in layman's terms, try to break the signal with something else that's controlling them. And I guess that particular receiver was able to give out a certain high pitch by saying and
Yeah.
it broke that. To me, that I'm gotta say, to me stuck out like a sore thumb when that was presenting. It's like, I mean, I know it's supposed to be scientific, but it's like that seems too corny for some reason. It just seems like it's not being taken seriously right then and there, you know. So
Yeah,
that's how I look.
and turns out that Space Woman is actually from the moon.
Yes. See, and this is the many things that really throws you off when you watch this film. It's like, she was on the moon, you know. And see, this is the part where you see the opening on the original Japanese version. You see that opening where she's talking about, but if you didn't see that part, you wouldn't get that. But then when they showed it, then they showed a flashback of so it's like, oh, she was on the moon. It's like on the moon. It's like it's crazy because you feel like that is where, and that's why I say this movie kind of does a melee of things that say keep you interested and whatever, it's like, okay, I mean, I get them, but it still kind of feels like, am I buying this, but then again, you're thinking like, well, you got a giant turtle, you got a spaceship, so it's like, why not, I mean, if you're on the moon, so be it,
Yeah.
Sense.
Anyway, let's talk about the main villain itself,
Mhm.
ZIGRA. I mean, I gotta be honest. I mean, I know the film is a bad film. I mean, I gotta say, ZIGRA is actually look like a cool monster. He's like a
Yes.
mutated shark.
Yes, he does. I mean, this is like I say, he looks like as you say, a mutated great white. Way before Jaws came out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this feels like they almost had some Jaws reference in this, but this was 4 years before Jaws.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just so like a shark fin when he's going up in the water and destroyed the ship, and it's my surprise, ZIGRA actually talks.
Yes, that's because we never. That's one thing about these kaiju's. I think now that I think about it, I don't think any kaiju previously or before, either in Godzilla or a Gamera film, actually talked in terms of dialogue like that to, especially to humans. I think he was the first one to actually speak with the sense of, oh, I'm going to give you some kind of dread. You are going to be.
Yeah, you can see the red light blinking on of his above his beak, and it's like
Yes.
showing that he's talking. Like,
That's kind of cool, though. I mean, as I said, that's a very good way of distinguishing this particular character. It's like showing that I got some kind of sense of ambition or some agenda, and I'm gonna carry it out no matter what. So it's like, and the moment they say it in the Japanese version, but I think they say it in the dub too, where he says, "You all you people are ugly, but I am beautiful." I'm just like, wow, talk about an ego boost here. You really are that
yeah,
narcissistic here. You know.
yeah, and I remember when I first discovered this film and discovered ZIGRA, he kind of
Mhm.
looks like an updated look version of Gauss, except
Yes.
I think it's because of the head. I mean, but
Mhm.
he's not a bad. It's a fish monster. Like,
Well, again, going back to resources and whatever that could have taken the concept of Gauss and kind of reconfigured it to that. But I find Zigra a very unique looking kaiju. He's one of my top 10 kaiju's I had on my list when I did my podcast for top 10 kaiju favorites. And to me, Zigra, he stands out among other kaiju, especially at that time. I mean, you still have some amazing kaiju's in the Heisei and Millennium era, but I feel that they did a good service with this one, considering that it was a low budget film. Didn't have that much money, and
yeah,
they did the best they could. But I feel he stands out like so many other kaiju's back at that time.
yeah, and ZIGRA has this ability to knock out Gamera with this like some kind of heat ray thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it makes Gamera pass out for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think it's. I mean, I think he's passed out, but I mean, in a way, he's kind of been knocked out with the same kind of ability that the Space Girl does to him. You know, I mean, it's not so much dead. He's like in a comatose kind of expression. You know, at the same in a sense. You know, so
Yeah,
I
but
think that's what it
he
is.
but they brought him back with some
Mm-hmm.
light in effect. Yeah, this is that moment when he's Gamera is struck by lightning and he comes back, and this is kind of makes me think of Ebra Horror the Deed, like when Godzilla
Same.
and also Godzilla 1985.
Oh yes. Say. And I can't say that they one is not influenced by the other one. I mean, they someone in Dai was probably influenced by Ebera, Heart of the Deep, and then most likely someone said, "Oh, I'm inspired by either Ebera or this ZIGRA film." You know, so it never know. I mean, it's always passing the torch to another to influence the other one to create that kind of momentum. You know.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the monster fights in this. The monster fights in this are not much exciting. They feel like they're like short and weak, you know, weakness.
Well, I think that goes back to something we mentioned before. You know, it's like I
I
say,
think I know why because they actually short down the monster fights for
mhm,
this. I think it's because of the budget and
yeah,
this film kind of more focused on the human characters, and
yeah,
it's like in the little submarine when they trying to bring back Gamera.
hmm
Yeah, this is
it's that because let's be honest. I mean, just 2 years before this film, this for this what this for 2 years before this, 2 years after this film. I'm trying to get my words right. 2 years after this film came out with Megalon, if you think about it, that fight sequence between Megalon, Godzilla, Gigan, and Jet Jaguar, that has got to be some of the most, and it's at the tail end of the film, but it's like one of the longest fight scenes, I think, in the Showa history. I mean, because, I mean, true enough, you have some good stuff in Destroy All Monsters, you have some in, you know, Ghidorah, you know, so, but it that really lasted longest in there for a good, I say, good 15 minutes, and that's usually a long time for a kaiju fight going on. But here, yeah, they couldn't do that much, and they had, I mean, true enough, they had the resources to do whatever, you know, whatever. But where can you really put that particular storyline in, you know? And like you say, I think they focus more on the humans than anything in terms of making this story come to light, you know, because when Gamera and ZIGRA fight for the first time, it's not so much more underwater. It's underwater, but they get a chance to do it on land. But after that, it's like, yeah, when they get on land, it's like it kind of
it,
pitters out a little bit.
yeah, they them fighting on land is kind of short, and
Mhm.
but the rest of it fights took place on underwater, which it kind of makes it fights even more slower
Yeah,
because it's underwater. And I know they for Zigra swimming mode they just use a prop.
yeah, it's a puppet.
Yeah, and I guess like especially that scene when Gamera's trying to get the little submarine while Zigra's asleep.
That's
It's like he's whenever time Zigra's awake, Gamera just ducks down like he's hiding like a cartoon.
that is, but I don't know how you feel about it, but that is so silly to me because that is, as you say, that's such a cartoon moment because he throws a rock at him and you see his eye kind of open up a little. You see his eye
Yeah,
kind of
it
open,
was like
but it goes closed back down like, really?
yeah.
Yes, you
Uh,
know?
so let's talk about the main hero in this, Gamera. I mean, Gamera in this is just dull. I mean, he's acting like a more childish monster in this one than he was in his previous films. I mean, he's acting all goofy in this one. Like some
Yes.
moments, like we just talked about the submarine grab,
Mhm.
and in that one scene that he actually plays Zigra's spines like a xylophone. It's like
I,
boom, 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 and then he starts dancing.
dude, I'm thinking, I'm glad you're breaking this up because I kid you not. When he, I could look the second he started. Let's look at the rock that he picks up. It looked like seriously, the rock looks like a little like a chicken drumstick.
Yeah,
And he's
or the little club thing that Bam Bam used in the
yeah,
Flintstones.
I mean he when he starts dinging on it, bigging on the fins. I was like, no, they're not going here, are they? And he starts keep going like a xylophone, like, no, he's not doing this right. He's not doing this. And then when he starts going like dancing, I was like, no, really?
Yes. Yeah, that is like a little childish cartoonist moment. Like Gamera
Oh,
did it.
yes. I was like, no way. I mean,
It's
again,
almost
I know this is supposed
it's
to be
almost like it's almost like Dai is trying to try to copy Toho's Godzilla dance style, like
yeah,
in Invasion of Astro Monsters.
yes. I mean, but
It's
I'm
like
like,
they're trying to do that.
but but with the Shay compared to this, the Shay is more, I think it was just like showing Godzilla saying, I mean, I defeated, I'm doing, but here it's like I couldn't even see this coming because it's like, why are you dancing? Why are you dancing? And the funny thing is, with the actual monster, it was still adult, but it was still trying to appeal to the kids who were watching this. That this was more kid friendly in terms of showing kids, it's for you. But I'm like, okay, you just played the xylophone on the Zega's back. You don't have to add insult to injury by dancing. You don't have to do that, man. You don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah, when Gamera was dancing, when next to the kid saying, "Gamera, use fire," and
Yeah,
then Gamera would be like, "Oh yeah, right," and he just blows fire on
right.
Zigra.
I was like, oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
It's brilliant. Like I said, I mean, this film is it's not the greatest, but it has some kind of charm
Yeah,
to it.
especially the kids characters in this and their and their dads are they pass out in the whole entire movie, but half of it, and then I know I recognize one of them. They were one of them were in Gamma versus Barugan. It was the
Yes,
villain.
the shorter dad. Yes, he was wears the glasses. Yes, he was in that one. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta agree that Gamma versus Zigra is like a not a great Gamma film, and you could tell when you're watching the film, the film crew and the cast are just lazy, and then they just do their act, and
Right. Kind of, and that's so much phoning it in, but it's like, yeah, this is all we got, so we'll just go with that. So yeah.
and it yeah when AIP, aka American International Pictures, when they heard of this film and it's not as great, they actually pass on that one.
Okay. That's I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
that's why AIP didn't do the dubbing for this one.
Okay. So I
Yeah,
guess it was Sandy Frank. It was up to Sandy Frank to kind of like fill in that
yeah,
to do
that
that.
film won't be released in America until 1987. Was released by Sandy Frank.
Well, that would make sense why I saw it in that time frame because I'm kind of say, I mean, it was like I say, it was such an accidental, well, happy accident, but at the same time, I mean, maybe it was inevitable that I would see it, and then knowing that almost 16 years later that I would see this film on television. So I guess it's like, yeah, I mean, they dubbed it and I guess that's a result of what it is. But I mean, hey, I mean, I guess it kind of aged the best it could, because no one's gonna watch this unless you dub it.
Yeah, if AIP did do the dubbing for this and release in America, and I I imagine I know that AIP renamed the Gamera titles like War of the Monsters, Attack of the Monsters, and imagine if they retitled this for America, uh, called Monsters from the Deep Sea.
Mm. Now
And
that'd be cool. Mhm.
Yeah, mention if they if AIP did do dubbing for this and retitle it.
Well, that's one thing about AIP. They are good at the dubbing, especially back at that time. And I guess knowing how things were working out, I guess they feel like the law, not the loss, but the thought process of how things were being done. Things were losing money. Or things weren't making money, so they feel like it's no sense in me. There's no sense of us putting our own money to make this work. But thankfully, this did find a place years later, and well, I mean, as you say, look at the results now. I mean, here's a film that's over 50 years old, and even though it's not the best of the best, it still is grabbing audiences to some degree, because like I said before, I love Gamera. I mean, not Gamera. ZIGRA's design. It's got
Yeah.
not so much the one where it's standing, but when it's swimming, that design the most. But it's still a pretty cool kaiju for what it is.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, this film is not as great. I mean, after they did the film was is really poorly rated, and I mean, they were planning to make a better Gamera film. I think it's called Gamera versus. I think I forgot the name of that monster was. I think it was like it's almost like a snake shark monster. I mean,
Right.
I forgot the name.
I think I know what you're talking about, and that was something I didn't think they were going to do. I thought that was just by accident that it stopped there, and then they did something years later. But yeah, that's one
Yes.
thing I've realized, that there's a many titles of not just Gamera but Godzilla, films that were meant to be made, especially around that time, around the 70s, that were supposed to be made, but didn't get the go ahead, and it's kind of sad that they didn't plan out that way, because it's I mean, I didn't know about that, about there was some Gamera films that be taking place at the time.
Yeah, and yeah, they were gonna make another Gamera film for this, which I forgot it was called, but sadly, Daiei went bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell it out of business. Yeah, and we won't be and they didn't start another Gamma film for 15. I think 15 years. I think it was like 9 years later.
Yeah, it was 9 years later. That other one would come out called, well, Super Monster. I was like, okay.
Yep, that's the episode like I'm gonna do next.
Mhm.
Uh,
Are you brave enough to do that one? I mean, because
yeah, I mean, wish I'll get to more details about that for the next episode. But
yeah,
next up, yeah. So I think that's just about a wrap, and it's been like 53 minutes.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, you say it wasn't going to be that much, because I mean, let's be honest, this film is not as informable in terms of what's behind it, and everything. You might could talk about what's going on in the film, but as far as production and costs and whatever, budget cuts and all these things, I mean, it's recognizable. It's there. You see it. I mean, you
Yeah.
see certain things that's there to be put on there, but the rest of it is like, it's what it is. You just take it as is. So,
Yeah. And I want to say to you, Walter, like, thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
pleasure.
And yep. So, and next up will be Gamera the Super Monster from 1980. Which I I don't know if this one is going to be a really short one because
well, it's not so much it being short. It's like, are you able to wrap your head around this film? Because look, let's be honest, ZIGRA makes this ZIGRA makes this one look like toilet paper. I mean, it's
yeah.
ZIGRA is actually better than this one, but you know this already.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, some people may or may not like Gamma versus Zigra. I mean, but hey, I mean, I know it's bad, but some think it might be good. I mean, uh, however this movie is, I mean, So once again, thank you for joining me, for Walter, and thank you all for watching. And next up will be Gamera Super Monster. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Gamera Film Podcast episodes coming soon.